There we go. So we are officially live. So welcome everybody to the Monday night meeting. We're so glad. If it's your first time, welcome. If you've been here before, we hope that you'll join us again next week. We have some really fun things to talk about actually tonight. This is a topic that I get asked about all the time is how do I reach out to people? What do I say? I've kind of run out of my warm market leads. What do I do now? So we're talking all about cold messaging, prospecting those that have never heard of Pottery before that you don't really have a relationship with yet. So we're going to talk about cold messaging, cold prospecting, cold calling, all of the above. And we have an amazing panel put together that has tried and true this method and it's working. So we'll talk about that here shortly. I did ask what you're celebrating and to put it in the chat. I'll look at Facebook too and see what exciting things we have there in Facebook. But also, okay, boot camp. I didn't want to forget boot camp. We just finished boot camp last week. It ran for a full week, Monday to Sunday, and we just wrapped it up yesterday. And I would love for you to put in the chat who participated in boot camp. We heard Krista say, I completed it. I did the whole thing. And what did you say? 5 years? You've been here 5 years and it's the first one you've done. So let's talk about a huge win. That is fantastic.
Yes.
So awesome. You're saying yes. Okay, I got that right. So cool. So cool. Katie did boot camp. Amy's celebrating that she has 95 pet pros on her team this month. Wow. And the promotions are rolling in. That's so fun towards the end of the month. Bernadette completed boot camp. I love it. But we had a great time. So be looking on Thursday. We're going to post our winners. It takes some time to tally up all the different comments and things. So bear with us as we tally those up. But on Thursday, we'll announce some winners and we'll be giving away some fun prizes. We'll probably go live and then have a post that follows after. So look for that, but way to go for those that participated. And we'll keep doing this in the future. And we just keep improving, right? We learned from this one and we'll make it even better next round. So thanks for those that joined in. Okay, let's see. Is there anything else I want to make sure that we didn't miss? I don't think so. So I'm ready to dive in. Are you ready to dive in about tonight's topic, cold messaging, cold prospecting? So I want to highlight, there's a lot of ways to do this business. We really encourage when you've been to the onboarding call, we really encourage you to utilize the simple sharing system to reach out to people that you know, utilize your warm market, talk to people and invite them to take a look. So we have a whole training system planned around that. But what happens when you're done with that list of warm market? What happens when you're like, man, I don't have many people left to talk to. I feel like I've talked to everybody. Who can relate to that? I know I can relate to that. There's been many times I'm like, I don't know who else to talk to. So there's a variety of ways. What are some of the ways that you've utilized growing your business? We have other trainings. This call today is purposely about cold messaging and cold calling. But what are some other avenues that you've used to grow your business? I'm curious. Let's put it in the chat. Tell me how you've grown your team, grown your sales, events. Mike and Kathy are saying events. And you guys just did one, I think, last weekend too, and did really well. Have more coming up. So events, there's one. Online, in person. That's one. What are some other ways you've grown your business? Online events. Yep, Rebecca. Connect, complement, ask. We're going to talk a little bit more about that too, Joey, about how to find people online, how to talk with them, have conversations authentically with them. So finding people online, live events, online events, in person, online events, online groups, Facebook ads, business networking groups. Yep, BNI is something that we've done here locally, some other meetup groups. So networking events, referrals. What else did I write down? Social media, just utilizing social media in general, posting. We learned about that last week. If you missed last week's call, it's amazing. Bob Heilig did an amazing job talking about how we can show up online in a more authentic way that helps the sales flow to us rather than us sound like those beggars, right? They're like, buy from me, buy from me. How can we be a transformational leader and Pet Pro? So that was a great call if you missed that. So that's in general a lot of the ways that we grow our business. But we're going to focus tonight on one aspect, and that is cold messaging and cold calling, because this is a proven method. It works. We have people that are doing it, and we're going to hear from several of them today of different methods and strategies. So we've got 4 people in particular, 3 that are going to really be part of the main dialogue. We have Karen. Connor, do you want to raise your hand there? I'll have you chat. She's a recent VP in Pottery. You've been in the business how long? How many months now?
11 months.
11 months. So nearing your year anniversary. So you're a VP and you'll talk more about your, how you found your different pet pros, but cold messaging is where you found many, many. And Kathleen Langsdale is another one. She's going to be chatting with us. She's utilized cold calling a lot in her business. So she'll talk about building relationships, similar to what Joey talked about, connecting with people, complimenting, asking them questions. We'll talk more about how Kathleen's utilized cold calling to build relationships. And then Christy Diaz, Kathleen's a 2-star VP, been here for many, many moons, 7 years, right? 7, 8 years. I get it wrong all the time. Forgive me. It's just we're old timers.
9 years.
9 years. We're old timers. So we've been here a little while. And Christy Diaz, she's a 3-star VP and she's the queen of following up. She has a master system that's allowed her to really utilize the people that she's messaging or calling and building relationships over time that's turned into Pet Pros later. So she's going to talk to us about the fortune and the follow-up. So let's just jump right in. Karen, I'm going to start with you. I have a few questions I'm going to ask to just make sure that we're following along the line and just helping give the best value that we can for this call. So I want to hear more of your story. What is it? Why did you jump into cold messaging to begin with? I want to hear that.
Well, I out of my 946 Facebook friends, most of them don't want to hear about my business. My warm market is pretty closed off to it. I don't know if it's because most of them are, Northeast and they just don't want to be bothered. I don't know. So I reached out to my mentor, my upline, and I said, look, I need another way to do this because I need Pottery to pay the bills. She then shared with me that she cold messaged and she has built a very large team doing that. And so that's what I said, well, teach me. So I just took it and ran.
Love it. Love it. That's what worked for you. We have a lot of people asking for that very thing. So we thought, what a timely message to be able to share. So how did you build a message that wasn't that spammy? I think we've all been in a situation, or we know situations where we've been spammed messages, a copy paste. How do you make it a little bit less of a copy paste or less spammy feel? What are some of the tips and tricks you have for us?
So, my message is basically, and it's the same for opportunity and product. It's basically, hi, I know we don't know each other, or if it's a breeder, hi, fellow breeder. You know, I have this opportunity. It goes into a few things about the business. Hey, there's no carrying inventory. You can get up to 45% commission, especially when they first sign on. And right now there's, you can get 2 free bags of food. If you're up to hearing more, great. If not, no worries. And we move on. That gives it, so they have a way out. I'm saying, hey, you don't have to listen to what I have to say. Or, if you want more information, I can certainly give you that. That's not to say I don't get nasty grams back. It happens. Block and move on. You can't let it's not personal, it's personality, and you just need to let it go. Maybe they're having a bad day. So no matter what the response is from them, if it's a no matter how it's negative or positive, I always say, okay, that's fine, or no worries, have a blessed day, or something along those lines. So it's always left in a happy. And I have had people come back and argue that I don't want to have a blessed day because you contacted me. So what? Clearly, those people have more problems than I can deal with anyway. So moving on, block and move on.
Love it. I think that's a good, but tell
But I
us
always,
about, oh,
yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, so just always ended on a positive note, because even people that have said no, thank you, I've had them come back and say, hey, wait a second. I remembered you gave me an opportunity 6 months ago. And you know what? I think I want to hear more now. And because I was positive and not mean about them not wanting to hear my opportunity or what I had to offer them, they came back. So
Love it.
no isn't always a no forever.
Not always a no forever. So such a great tip. But I love, right before we started the live, you were telling us some of the greatest gifts that's come as a result of cold messaging, that you have this amazing team. Of how many, you can tell us a little bit about your team and what's blossomed as a result of you reaching out and just getting out of your comfort zone and asking and letting those no shake off. You're like, who cares? Because what you've gotten as a result has been so awesome. Tell us about that.
So out of the 11 months, I have a team of 30. I have made VP. And those 30 people have become some of my closest friends. We talk every day. And we talk about stuff that's not even pottery related anymore. It's about dogs, it's about life, it's about kids. And I've built a community like going to work that I now have coworkers that I can go to and speak to, and we just build off of each other. So, and the other thing is when I've reached out to, you know, these 30 people, they're 30 people I didn't know before, and their pets were suffering because of it. So those 30 people are 30 families of pets, because a lot of them have multiples, that now have a blessing of pottery and problems that they're no longer dealing with because I cold messaged. So cold message can feel icky, but I think if you think of the bigger and the greater good, um, that's the end goal, and you're going to get people that you would have never talked to before, that had issues prior, and now they don't. And I feel like that's um, the best gift of all, is that I know I've taken care of animals that needed it.
Love it. That's super helpful. I wanted to also ask you, you have to reach out to a lot of people. Let's be realistic, right? That you're reaching out to a lot of
Yes.
people to get some yeses. So I just wanted to put some benchmarks out there of how many people would
Sure.
you say on average that you reach out to get some responses?
So I let Facebook determine a lot. So when I use Facebook majority, I would say 95% of my cold messaging is on Facebook. Sorry, I have dogs that are interested in dinner. Um, so I would say anywhere from 13 to say 25, 30. 15, 13 to 15 if Facebook's like, yeah, no, you're not talking to any more people today. And that's in cold messaging. That's not, even if I get shut down from cold messaging, I can still talk to Trisha. I can still talk to people I know. It's just going to tell me no more cold messaging, can't send. Don't push it. Or you will be in Facebook jail, but just don't push it. If they say stop, you stop. But some days they let me send 30. I'm like, great. So I've sent 30. And if I get that 13 and I don't feel done, I go to Reddit. Reddit has so many subreddits out there of people begging for help with their animals, begging. You know, my dog has this, my cat has this. I mean, begging. It's sad. I wish I could just go out there and say, "Hell, I can help you." But the biggest thing with Reddit is you have to do the cold messaging. You can't just put it out on in open Reddit because you will get shut down. So it really is all about that cold message.
Okay. And Dawn's saying, is that through Messenger? So yes, Facebook Messenger, correct? And
Yes,
Reddit
Facebook
Messenger.
Messenger. You can do it through Instagram Messenger. You can go to TikTok Messenger. I mean, it's all kind of the same thing. I just personally have found Facebook Messenger as my real vehicle to success.
Okay. And what's Reddit? Dawn's asking.
It's kind of like a social media where people can post questions, but they don't have a name. So it's I don't know, they get to put like a handle out there, and they can ask questions on subreddits about things, but they'll ask and they'll say, hey, my dog has, itchy bumps all over him and has for forever. We've tried Cetaphil, we've tried Apoquil, and we've tried this and we've tried that. And they are begging for help. I mean, it's more than I can handle as far as how many people that I can message, just because I don't have the time to message them, them all.
Yeah.
But they're out there. They're out there.
Okay. That's
And the only way those people are going to get help is through us cold messaging, because I don't know them.
Okay. Lovely. Wonderful. So if you have other questions, put them in the chat, because we're going to move on to Kathleen here in a second. Kat saying, how do you decide who to message? That's another great question. How do you decide?
So with Facebook, I will go to, the dog skin, and allergy pages, any dog, anything. I mean, even if you just go to like Labrador Retrievers of Tennessee or whatever, and I don't mean the private groups. I don't join groups to message people. You will get booted faster than you can say what happened. I'm talking about the public ones that are just out there. You can go into the search bar and in that group, and you could say tear stains, and you're going to go through and you're just going to look for the people with tear stain issues. And message them. Hey, I saw you post about tear stains. Hey, I have I know we don't know each other, but I have a product that I know can help you. Would you be open to hearing more? If not, no worries or no pressure. And leave it at that. Then it's up to them if they want to respond to you or not.
Love it. That's super helpful. Pressure's off. Yeah, you hear that. And you had a couple examples, I think, that you were willing to share and pop up there. And we do have somebody on Facebook asking too, what percentage of the cold calling are those 30? We'll get to the cold calling here in a second. Karen's strictly cold messaging. She's cold messaging.
Yeah,
So
I don't
anything-
talk on phones.
Yeah, but Kathleen's going to give the cold calling approach, and we can talk more about that, Robin. You're the one that asked that on
Yes.
Facebook. So I'm checking Facebook too. So if you do have questions, pop them in there. We have quite a few watchers there. But great info, Charlie's saying this is awesome. Thank you. App or just the Reddit site on your computer? Meg's asking that. The Reddit
Either
app.
one, they're both the same. I use the app just because it's easy. I can do it from just sitting at the couch or whatever. But you can do it on their site too. And I just go to chat feature. Sometimes you have to do a message feature. Either way, it's the same message. Hey, I know we don't know each other, but I have something that can help you. And I mean, if you do it like that, I mean, it's no different than you see someone lost at the grocery store. Hey, are you looking for something? I mean, if you're the person, the person that works there at the store, hey, are you looking for something? The biggest thing with Target was, hey, can I help you find something? That was our motto. So I mean, it's kind of the same thing. So I don't really don't look at it as cold messaging as finding the people that have the problems and offering a solution. They don't have to take it, but I'm not going to get hurt if they don't want my solution. But
Yeah.
moving
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, I love it. That's
I think
super
that's the
helpful.
biggest thing with cold messaging is not letting it get you down. You're gonna have the nose. You're gonna have the nasty grams. You just push through it. Block and move on, or just move on. You don't have to block them, but I do just because some of them get really nasty, and it helps me feel like I'm doing something, but then it's passive, and they don't really know that I've done it.
Yeah. Well, I'd be curious actually just to ask the group here. We've got 54 people here live watching, and then those on Facebook too.
Yeah.
Who here was approached as a cold message or a cold call? I think it's going to be surprising how many
Oh yeah,
actually
that would be
here
interesting.
because of it, right? So who here is here because of a cold message reach out or a cold call reach out? I would love to hear because I know there's quite a few out there. In fact, Karen, how did you hear about Pottery? Were you a cold message?
I was a cold message. I was in a whelping breeding group, and I was reached out to. Hey, are you interested? I saw you breed collies. This might be something you'd be interested in. And at first I said no, but I'll look at your site, but I kind of did my own research and decided it was something I wanted to give a shot at. So
Love it. Love it. So great. And look at these comments coming in.
yeah, see?
I am
Lots of cold
cold
messages.
call. Yeah, cold call. I wasn't, but I got my first cold call customer that you never even spoke to. It's a cold message. Yeah,
Okay,
majority of
and
my
Brittany
cold messaging.
Brittany got the same training I did. So
Okay.
she got hers too.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And let's
You're
move and
welcome.
shift gears to Kathleen because we'll talk about the cold call versus the cold message. And I know that we have maybe some not necessarily scripts, but you've shared several times the kind of words to say, but maybe we could pop that up in a little bit. We can get to that video or that.
I can also put it in the group in our 5-star group. Just a little. I can put it in the guides or the files. Just a quick little blurb. Hey,
Yeah, make it your own, but really it's the same. That's the same message of like, hey, may or may not be for you. That's okay. Either way is fine. I'm letting them get off the hook easily if they don't want to be. So Kathleen, let's move. Oh, well, actually, Elizabeth, are you able to chat? Because I know, so we have Elizabeth Rosen here. She was going to share, she's got 8 pet pros this month. She put that in the chat earlier. Are you able to chat? I know your audio was being a little bit weird.
No, I think my brother fixed it. I just can't use headphones still, but at least he got this to work. So
okay, perfect. Well, tell us. I would just thank you for being here. I'm glad it worked because we were talking last week. We were talking a little bit about some of the do's and don'ts. So tell us what happened with you and kind of how you've been able to see the good side and the not as good side, but what you've been able to utilize for the good.
So I've had a pretty positive experience with it. And I also do different places than Facebook. Sometimes Facebook to me is kind of daunting because it is so big. And even when you go to groups, you don't even know where everybody's from. So you always kind of have to be checking their profiles. So I've done some on Alignable and Nextdoor I really like because it's local and I do Facebook too. And then also sometimes I'll run Facebook ads and I will always contact all the people that liked my post. So that's pretty much a cold message as well. And so I kind of, I kind of have my go-to, but then I always vary and change it, like I have my saved one. What I was talking to Trisha about last week that was really funny, I gotta change my screen here, is I had somebody actually cold message me, and the way she did it just made me really laugh. So here's an example of what not to do. So this is somebody who reached out to me. She's a breeder, and she reached out to me on Alignable. So of course, when I saw that she was a breeder, I was like, oh, cool, right? So her first message was simply, hi, I'd like to add you to my network, which I think is a generic one from them. So I reply back, hi, so-and-so, thank you for reaching out. I love to meet and network with other pet professionals. How long have you been breeding her breed? And she writes back, over 35 years. And then immediately sends another message that's, I'd love to have you join my team. If you're not already recommending the products I use, please check out blah, blah, blah with the links and join cost and fees and like all this information. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, I didn't even know she had a business. I just saw she was a breeder. So to me, that's like a big, like, not what to do. In my opinion, after I got the message for over 35 years, the next message should have been, and how about you, right? Starting that conversation and then launching into that, or even checking my profile, because she would have seen that I was with Pottery. And I'm going to just tell you guys, I don't normally do this. I don't remember what Karen called them, the negative Nellies. I don't normally get that, and I'm certainly not one to do it. But I was laughing so hard when I got her message that I started my next one with, oh boy, no second date, just right into marriage, with a laugh emoji. Because I'm thinking there's no way I'm going to hear back from this woman, right? So I just was in that kind of mood. And then I said, I'm actually with Pottery and love everything about it. And said that I've heard from people that do both companies, and I was like, oh, and right now we have a $1 enrollment with 2 free bags of food if you want to join us. Again, thinking I'm not going to hear back, and I'm actually have an ongoing conversation with her. It's really funny. She's asking me questions and looking at it. So sometimes, you can turn things around. So that was my example of what not to do. And then just to give an example of what I do, this is one. So like on Nextdoor, a lot of times I'll see people post, hey, I'm in need of a pet sitter. So I'll look at all the comments and I'll just message everybody that's a pet sitter, either that got recommended or said, hey, I'm a pet sitter. And what I send is, again, I don't send information they haven't asked for. I offer, if they're willing. So I'll say, like, I'm just reading one that I sent yesterday. So, hi, Haley, I just came across a comment that you're a groomer. I'm also in the pet industry, so I love to connect and network with other pet professionals. I also work with the Holistic Pet Nutrition Company that's been a fantastic financial vehicle to pair with my existing business and offer to clients that I'm already talking to. I'm looking for other business-minded pet lovers who would also enjoy adding additional stream of income in 2024. If that sparks your interest, I have a short video that provides an overview. Would you like to watch it? And then I go on to say, like, either way, I look forward to, learning more about you and your business. So, it doesn't have to be gross and ugly. It can just be friendly and just like, how they are already teaching us in PTU. It's just like, hey, would you like to take a look? So I do get a lot of responses. I've had several phone calls this week because I've really been working hard and tracking and, doing it every day, trying to earn Bali. So those are some of my personal do's and don'ts, and I hope that helped.
That helps a ton. And it just validates what Karen's talking about. It totally validates that. Like, if you start and kick things off with like, hey, I've got this thing, you're putting it all out there on the line. Either way, Doesn't matter. I'm just happy we could connect. I'm happy to connect with other pet professionals. That's the message I'm hearing is I have a thing. I'm Elizabeth. Nice to meet you. I've got this thing. If you're open to hearing more, I'll send you this video. You're asking for permission. Karen mentioned the same thing. You're putting it out there versus the other way, right? So we heard the other way where it's just like, it started as a connect and compliment. It was kind of like, hey, let's network. How are you? But it was just straight to like, do you want to join my team? And like, that just feels icky, right? It just feels icky of like, it would have been better had she put it all out there in that first post. I think it would have made a difference where you're like, that's the reason we're connecting. I have something for you, but it's great to connect either way. I just think there's such a much better vibe, Elizabeth. So I'm glad you shared those examples. Goes perfect with what Karen talked about. And now we're going to kind of shift gears and talk to Kathleen, who focuses on cold calling. And then Christy will kind of bring us home because she does both cold messaging, cold calling, and she has a great follow-up structure that we can kind of tap into and learn her tricks and trades. So Kathleen, tell us a little bit more about your cold calling, because I think that's something that a lot of people are nervous to do, right? Is that fair to say? Who in this group is maybe nervous to make some calls? Or maybe you didn't even think about it till I just said it. Maybe you're like, well, I wasn't, but now I am. But that might be a little bit of a fear, but I would love for you to share what's come as a result. I know that Loudermilks, you even put in there that you were a cold call. And look at Loudermilks, right? Like amazing things can come from cold calls. And I know you've had some amazing things, Kathleen. So tell us a little bit about your experience with cold calling and why you did it to begin with, why you started.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, I don't have a problem talking to people on the phone. And I feel like I can connect when I'm verbally talking to someone. I don't do as well. I really don't do as well in social media because I don't feel I can feel the vibe. I don't see their body language. It's a thing with me. I have to connect and get to know someone. So cold calling. Here's how I start cold calling. First of all, I work from a list, and most of the time I'm cold calling breeders. So I've done the research has been done ahead of time. So I'm working off of a list that has their name, the breeder, what the name of the kennels are, the contact name, the phone number, their email address, and you say, well, where do you get that? Well, there's a couple places. Number one, you can actually Google them and get that information yourself off of their website or Facebook page or wherever they are. I happen to pay a very minimal amount of money to some folks in the Philippines that do that create the sheets for me. The prospect sheets. These are cold leads. I know nothing about them, but what I do is, this is the key, I think, to cold calling by picking up the phone for me, is I check each of those people before I ever reach out to them. I go to their website, I look at their website, I look at what they do. I get some highlights on who they are, what they breed, and some things that when I pick up the phone and call them, I can actually mention things about their breeding business. So that gives them a level of comfort that, hey, this person knows something about me. Now, it's always a compliment, it's something I'm complimenting them on. And so what I do is I pick up the phone and I try very hard to find the breeder's first name, because I want to call them by name. Like, hey, is this Mary? Hey, this is Kathleen. And I'm with a all-natural pet nutrition company, and we are in your area. We've selected a few key breeders that we feel have high quality, to offer you the opportunity to learn more about our pet nutrition line. Now, a lot of times here's what you get. You can get, I'm not interested. You can get, tell me more. You can most of the time, you get their voicemail. So I leave a message. As long as it's a voicemail that has somebody talking on. If it's just automated voicemail, I don't leave a message, because that tells me that they don't check their voicemail. And I mentioned I'm Kathleen, and I would like to talk with you about your breeding business. That's all I say. Please return my phone call, and I give them my number. Now, when I talk to them, when I get on the phone with them, what where are you from? Like, I know where they are. Tell me, is it warm there today? Like, I just kind of ask a few general questions, and I ask them a little bit about their business. How long have you been breeding? I see that you breed, Labradoodles. That is really awesome. It's such a popular breed. And then I might even say within our organization, we have tons of breeders that breed Labradoodles. So I'm carrying on conversation, and I may tell them a little bit about myself. I just talk normally to get a conversation going. You never know where it's going to go. It could be, they could say, no, I'm not interested. Say, that's fine. Would you mind if I keep you on my list and touch base with you from time to time to just, give you some updates? And you never know, you may, things may change for you, and you may find that you are interested in learning more later. And I've had some interesting, like one of my key, and I'm not going to name names, but one of the key breeders on my team, when I called her and started to talk to her, she told me she had signed. She said, I'm so sorry, honey. I just signed up under someone else 2 weeks ago with Patri. Meanwhile, my heart sinks to my feet, but that's okay. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that's great. I'd love to get to know you. And I started asking her, are you going to Paw Fest? And are you, I started asking her things which she didn't know anything about. But long story short, is this person has said to many, many people, what really was so impressive was that I took time. I bet we ended up talking for 45 minutes. I took time to talk with her, knowing that she would never be on my team. But I wanted to welcome her and bring her into the fold of Patri, because I care that much about Patri. It's not just about me. It's about the whole company, because that's just who I am. And so long story short, she never really did enroll. She thought she did. And she called support, and support called me one day, weeks later, on a 3-way call and said, this woman would like to join under you. And so that was one. But I have several people. I have several people that are very good business builders that I sponsored and found through picking up the phone and calling them. And I'm just not afraid to do that. Is that what you want to know? I know it's kind of long-winded.
Yeah, it's more of just the building the relationships part,
Yeah.
because you've been
Yeah.
the queen and the master of that. You've been able to take cold leads and turn them into a friendship. I think you could say the same thing as Karen, that some of these folks that you've cold called and become just the closest of friends with it. Do you think that's fair to say that's
Absolutely. My whole idea, I like to connect with people. My first goal is not to find out if they're really interested. My first goal is to get to know them a little bit, to build some kind of rapport. I'm not into just, jumping on them about the opportunity. I want to build rapport. I want to ask about them. If I notice they're on a farm, because if you look at their website, let's say it's a family with children, on their website, 9 times out of 10, Corey, this is true with you too, you have pictures of your children, you have pictures of your family. I've seen a lot of breeder websites where they have their whole family and they talk about how their family's involved. And I'll talk about their family. Oh, I saw your family, so cute. And it looks like you have lots of helpers, and just conversation, just things to just break the ice and allow people to feel comfortable with you calling them, and you compliment them, and I might say, your dogs are just precious. I noticed that one picture of blah, blah, blah. It just breaks the ice. It lets them know that you care enough about them that you really looked at them. They are not just a phone number you called off a list.
Yeah. Yeah.
It takes a lot of time now. You're not going to call 25 people in an hour unless 20 of them are going to be voicemail. And that happens.
Yeah. Yep. Wonderful. I just appreciate you sharing how it can really turn into something just wonderful and magical. Either way, that's why I put on the post and some of the reminders. You'll be surprised how much they have in common, just the warm, trying to turn a cold to warm, or just chatting with people, how quickly we can turn a cold lead into a warm lead by just engaging in authentic conversations and really caring about them and asking the right questions. Is this a fit for them? If it's not, that's okay. Moving on.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
go to the next.
And-
So
And this goes for whether you see somebody in the store, what I'm sharing about building that rapport right off the bat. This isn't just about picking up the phone. This is, out the grocery store. This is at the gas station. This is, anywhere. How do you start a conversation? It's more about getting to know the person.
yeah,
And then I call it like driving a car and weaving through traffic. You just weave it into the conversation, and not in a manipulative way, but in a caring way. And it does take some skill. I'm not, look, I've been doing this for so many years that, because I could be everyone on this call. I could be your mother. So
what would you say then, really quick, because I want to hear from Christy too, but what would you say to the new pet pro that hasn't been doing this for years? They're like, I just joined last week, and if I'm going to start cold calling, how do I do that? Or cold messaging?
Oh,
What advice would you give them?
just be yourself. Pretend like you're calling up your neighbor, your friend, your sister. If you're worried about a script, honey, I'm going to tell you right now, it'll come across like a script. Just be yourself. And if they ask you a question you don't know, say, wow, that is a great question. I really don't know the answer, but I'll tell you what, give me a day or so. How about if I give you a call tomorrow afternoon at 3:00? I'll have that answer for you. Great question. Something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love it. Great tip.
100% be you.
Just jump in, just give it a try and be you. Just go for it. So then let's shift gears and talk to Christy, because Christy has been the queen of reaching out to people, talking to people, cold messaging, cold calling. She's done a little bit of both. And we thought she could share some tips on how to nourish those relationships over time so that when they are ready, you're the one that comes to mind to join, because she's got a great follow-up system. So Christy, we're excited to hear from you, because again, I've heard many, many people say, oh, well, Christy, she just kept following up. And so here I am, I finally listened after 3 years. I wish I would have done it sooner. How many times have we heard someone say that's enrolled under Christy, I wish I would have listened to her sooner? I've heard it many, many times. So let's, Christy, I'll let you take it away.
Okay, I changed to this. Is the audio still okay?
Yeah,
Can you
great
hear
to
me? Okay,
Mhm.
very good.
Yep.
Thanks. Yeah, and one of the things that Kathleen said is when I'm working with new people, I like to find out what their strengths are. Like I know Kathleen is good on the phone, and like I know she's a good conversationalist. So like it makes sense that that's what she would do because that's her strength. So I like to find out what people's strengths are and encourage them to use those in whichever way they decide to reach out. When I joined Pottery 8 years ago, I knew, I mean, maybe whether this is true or not, but what I thought I knew was that I was eventually going to run out of friends and family, and I needed to find a way to like bring in new people, to gather new ears to hear about pottery. And so I was always like looking for a system of like, what could that be? So that's, the business networking group is what I did. Like after joining for 1 month in pottery, then I joined a networking group because I knew I was going to run out of friends and family. That's what I was telling myself anyway. So as I started like talking to more and more people, I'm like, oh, it takes a while. They're not just going to close right away. So I knew I needed a system so that they wouldn't fall through the cracks, because at first people were falling through the cracks as I would meet new people. So I have here, let's see if I can advance the screen. So I have some screenshots of, this is from my follow-up system. These aren't like the actual text message. These aren't my actual emails, but like I would keep a note of what my email said or what my text said to them. So here's a message, and it's going to start down here in August of 2020. And then, so I called, left a voicemail, and she called me back and left me a voicemail back. And I was like, that tells you something, because a lot of times on a cold call that doesn't happen. So that already made this person stand out in my mind where I'm like, okay, I am really going to stay engaged with this one because that's unique. And so then, I had a text 4 days later. I sent her some samples, checked in to see if the samples arrived. We're still here in August. This is August of 2020, back and forth texting. Checked in again in September. This was of 2020, still checking in. She didn't want to join. She was like, I'm too busy, but if you got some samples, I'll hand out your samples to my puppy customers and they can become, they can be, your customers. Just give me some sort of referral thing. And I'm like, yeah, we'll work out something like that. So here we go. We're in September, October, still just sending her samples. And then here we get to December of 21, and she wanted to join. And so she waited till January 1st of 2022. And so she finally joined. So we went from August of 2020 to January of 22. And that's when she finally joined. And then I just kind of kept a records of our text messages and stuff like that. Now that she is with Pawtree. And I think the next screen I've shown you who this is. It was Amy Jones, and she became a VP a year later. So in 23, she became a VP, and so she's been with Pawtree for 2 years now. So that's one example of just my little system and not giving up. She said no about not wanting to join. So I'm like, is there another way that we could work together? And she was like, yeah, if you have some samples, I'll give your samples to my customers. So we found a way just from our chatting and conversations. But I could tell she was different. Like I said, right away, like she stood out to me. Any questions? I'll go on to the next example if not. Okay.
Right now, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Kat.
Okay. The part I'm having the hardest time with is that keeping when, oh my gosh, I can't get my words to come out. I'm having a hard time keeping up with the following up and remembering who I've followed up with, and I've created spreadsheets and I've created all kinds of things to try to, so I'm curious, are you using an app or have you created some kind of spreadsheet, or what are you doing to remember who you followed up with and who you need to follow up with next?
Okay. Yeah, so
Or
these
is
are
that off the
screenshots.
subject enough?
I think I can answer that quickly enough.
Okay.
What I use is called Teamzy. It's TEAMZY. And I can't remember, it's maybe like $300 a year. I don't know how much I pay for it exactly, but my fear was dropping people. So to me, that peace of mind is worth it. So these are screenshots from my software program that I use called Teamzy. Joey put in the comments that she likes to use Asana. And this is me copying, if I'm on Facebook, I do a lot from my computer. So if I'm on Facebook on my computer, I'll copy my message and I'll paste it over there. And I guess I like charting. I'm used to charting kind of stuff anyway. So some people may not want to take this extra time, but again, it's peace of mind to me. I like to be able to go back and look at the history so I can familiarize myself about our past interactions when I'm going to like this one was telling me I'm late on my follow-up. I was going to follow up with my pet pro Amy on the 28th, and here it is the 29th, so this kind of gives me a reminder of when to follow up with them. So Amy's question to me was if I have to import this data into Teamzy or if it auto syncs. When if I was going to have a phone call with Amy, I may connect, say our phone call was about blah, blah, blah. And then it'll say do I want to follow up? And I'm like, yes, let me follow up with her in about 4 days. We do talk a lot, but just in case something fell through, this is my reminder, it's been a while since I've talked to Amy. Let me reach out to her. And the software, it's in the cloud. So I access it on the computer, or I can access it from, the browser on my phone. So it's always with me. So these
Awesome.
are screenshots from Teamzy.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, I've got another guest who, let me click up here. Okay, this person, also August of 2020, I reached out to this person by text, apparently, and they didn't reply. So I sent another text 3 days later. And And they must have replied at some time, because here in September of 2020, I'm like, again, I'm going to send you some samples if you'd like to try samples. She wasn't interested in joining right away, but she wanted to try it. So then we got on a call. We had 2 calls in September, and then, back to texting. September, October, October. This is all in 2020. And she never told me to quit contacting her. So I just would send little texts every now and then. And then I guess I switched over, like maybe I ran into her on Facebook. So I messaged her on Facebook. And let's see. Oh, and then at one point by email, I've reached out to her. So we've texted, we've talked on the phone, we've messaged on Facebook, and now we're emailing with each other. And I offered to send her customer samples. And so this actually was a way that I could let them try the products. And we created accounts for people where, like, the treats that I sent them, like they had gotten a puppy from her. I sent them a free bag of treats. I'm like, this is a thank you from your breeder. I paid for it, but she kind of gets the nice credit of like, here's a gift for you. So it worked out good to help me get some new PV. It worked out to let her like get some good feels from her customers. And some of her customers would reorder from me. So it was like, sort of a paid sampling program. So some of her customers are still ordering from me because of this. So I would just check in with her, October, November, December, like once a month kind of. And then, so that's 22. We started in August of 2020. Here we are, February of 22. And I let's see, February of 22, November, February 22. And then I see Jan Womack on the leaderboard in January of 23, I think it was. Yes. So I emailed her, Jan, I see you finally joined Pottery. Congratulations. It wasn't with me though. And she's like, oh, thanks so much. Like, she was very responsive, kind of like how Amy, like, it's unusual that when they're that responsive. So if you get somebody like that, it stands out. And so I was happy for her. Like, I truly was. Like, there's such an abundance out there. It doesn't crush me if somebody joins somebody else. And so I'm happy for you. I'm also curious what made you change your mind. I was so curious. And I told her I'd look back that we connected in 2020, and I just wanted some feedback. Was there something I could have done differently? I hope she could tell that I wasn't being like, I don't know, whatever. And she's like, oh, Christy, there's nothing you could have done. Like, my friend told me about this, and there was no way I was going to join with anybody but my friend. I'm like, okay, that makes total sense. Like, of course I would want you to stay with your friend, not me who just cold messaged you. So that's my second example. Any questions on this one before I move on?
Christy, I got a question. When you built that relationship with the breeder and was able to send out samples to her clients, how did you give them your contact information?
She gave me their mailing address, and so I just put in their mailing address. I must have probably used a Pottery gift card to pay for it. It wasn't like a Paw Club. It was just a one-time order of treats that got sent to their addresses. So she gave me their addresses, and then I just emailed them and said, you don't know me, but your wonderful breeder is giving you a free gift from my company. So
thank you.
Yeah, I could not put a card in the package because it was coming from Pottery Warehouse. I could put a card in the mail, and I may have done that. I may have sent them an email and sent them like a card in the mail, because not everybody opens their emails, right? So one lady called Pottery and was like, I got something and I didn't order it. She thought she'd been charged for something. And so the home office was like, Christy? I'm like, oh, this was her free gift from her breeder. So we cleared it up. She's like, oh, as long as I wasn't charged for it, that's great. Okay, well, I'm going to move on to this next one because I know we're getting close on time. So this one, I just sent our first contact, and this is from Project Broadcast. So I sent a cold message October of 22. I'm trying to remember who this was now, actually. I think this was when I was reaching out to groomers. I think this was a groomer. So on the 18th of October, sent him a message. The next day, did you see my message? And I don't think I had any reply. Yeah. So that was October 22, no reply. So I wasn't going to message them again. Like if they're not interested after, if they don't, bite my hook, my bait, that's fine. And then in October of 23, I was really fired up about something because October, I was like just messaging everybody. Did we have half off product packs or something? I think that's what it was. Like I was just so excited. I'm like,
Yeah.
who possibly might be interested? So I only had the name of their business. So I said, hey there, going through my list of past contacts, I thought of you. And lo and behold, they replied back to me. So a year later, they did reply back to me. And then I'm like, okay, great. Here's the thing. And this isn't to show you like, this is the perfect way to do things. Like I was so excited, like I may have been a little over anxious. So you're welcome to screenshot and take these. I just don't know that this one was super successful or anything. I'm just showing you like the timing and how you can't write them off. So yeah, so you're interested. And then the 3rd, I wrote him again. The 6th, again, like I haven't heard back from him, but I'm not taking it as a no. Which some people would say that's maybe messaging too much. And I might agree with you, that might be messaging them too much, but that's what I did. And then on the 6th, he's like, sure, that'd be great. Send me the video. So that was the 6th. On the 7th, I saw his message, sent him the video. I don't know why I've messaged him twice on the same day. Maybe I was thinking like, oh yeah, I did say I'll follow up with you later today. Like, I was super excited. Like everybody's going to want to do this. And then the 9th, I hadn't heard back. So I sent this other message. The 11th, the 13th, I'm not hearing back from him. I just, keep sending these messages. So yeah, the 11th, the 13th, the 15th, I sent this other message. This one, I didn't have their first name, so it just said, hi, blank, comma. There's another what not to do mistake, but it happens. And then this person came into my my contacts again through my Facebook ad that I had been running at the time. Like this was the message that comes in if they come into through my Facebook ad. So like, I was like, oh my gosh, this person really wants to know something because they replied to my text and now they've come into my Facebook ad and they said like, okay, the 16th, I've decided to move forward. I own a mobile grooming business and I want a side job. And he wanted a monthly income of $3,000 to $5,000 per month or more if possible. And I'm like, 2 days later, for some reason, I didn't see that message right away. Or maybe it was I don't message on Sunday. So maybe this was a Sunday thing. Anyway, I was like, yeah, great. Let's chat. And then didn't hear back on the 19th, 24th, and another message because I hadn't heard back. Let him know last day of this deal. He never like jumped on it or acted on it. So here we are over into November. So then he gets my Black Friday message. December, he gets my December message, and then he opted out. So there's an example. I don't know what that, but I didn't give up because until he said stop, I just kept going and kept going. So that was that example. So yeah, no, he did not become a pet pro, but he expressed interest and, 2 different ways. I got really excited and thought he was going to join, but he didn't. So I hope he found something else that can help him get $3,000 to $5,000 a month. Okay, this is my last one because I know we're running short on time. And this one actually just happened today. This is somebody that had come in through a Facebook ad. And this is probably like this message right here. Was that yesterday? That's maybe like my 3rd or 4th message that kind of automatically drips on him. And so, hey, I never clarified. I'm with Pottery. Are you interested to know more? And they said, no, thank you. So this is me personally replying back, kind of like what Karen was saying, like, no worries. I'm going to remove you from my contact list. If you ever have any questions about pet health issues, I'm happy to help. And then she comes back and tells me that her beagle mix passed away. And So I'm not going to tell her about like our dollar deal or anything like that. I'm just like, gosh, I'm so sorry. That must be really hard. Just, you know, supportive words. And then she sends me a picture and thanks so much. Her name was this and that. And I replied back again, like, this is all today. Like, she's so beautiful. Thanks. Gosh, I'm just really feeling for you. And then she writes me this huge long message, which I blocked out because I wouldn't want people to read my message. But I can just like have a sincere heart, like check my intentions. My intentions aren't just to get everybody in the world to join Pottery. It's just to see what I can do to be there. Hopefully it is Pottery, but hopefully that's why I'm in their life is for Pottery. But if it's something else, like I'm happy to do that too. So my just kind of wrap up points are to be sincere, have a system, check your intentions, like what's your motivation, like why are, you know, those always come through whether you think it does or not. If this is something that you want to do that you're not comfortable with, join a power hour. We have several power hours throughout the week, so you can get some support and help. And that helps me get through the no's. Like when somebody sends a nasty no back, like we can show it in the power hour and just kind of like laugh, and it's easier to walk away from those with your strength. I would say my analogy, Kathleen talked about driving through the traffic. My analogy is like being a lifeguard. When you see people swimming in the ocean out there, you don't know if they're having fun and just enjoying it or if they're drowning. So my check-ins, I feel like I'm just offering them the life preserver. Like, hey, do you need this? Oh, nope, you're fine. Okay. Hey, do you need this? You're fine. Okay, no, like when they need something, they will grab onto what I'm offering them. So I'll end it there, Trish, unless there's any other questions, but thank you.
Yes, and there were some in Facebook, but then you answered them, so we're good there too. Thank you so much, Christy, for sharing your expertise in the follow-up. And I mean, look at that. Look at what came as a result, right? Some of the times it was no, but also some of the times it was yes. So I love the systems you've plugged into work for you, not against you. So thanks so much for sharing. We hope you learned some new things about cold messaging, cold calling, and the fortune in the follow-up. Refer back to this training. You can get some of the scripts. Elizabeth put hers in there in the messenger. I also posted it in Facebook, so you should be able to have access to that. But let's just go over a couple of to-dos too. Let's say you get a wild hair and you decide, I'm going to start reaching out to people tonight. I'm going to start doing this. Don't forget, we have a PBO tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central. You can invite them to. Oh, and we did have a question, actually. I forgot. Someone asked which video you sent, Christy. Oh, and you already said it. You sent them Amy Johnson's PBO.
I have Amy Johnson's, whatever it is for that month. That's the one that I tried to send them.
Okay, perfect. So you can use that, utilize that. Or send them the replay or ask them to join you live. So that's every Tuesday and Thursday. We have that every week. And then we have onboarding on Friday. If you're not familiar with that, be looking for communications to come to onboarding call on Friday to just get you up and running. What are some of those next key steps? But then also next week, we have our fireside chat with Roger Morgan. If there's questions that you have, our founder and CEO, if you don't know who that is, if you have questions or need support, be sure and put in your questions so that he can answer them next week on the fireside chat. And then we'll be back in 2 weeks for our team training. So thank you so much for being here. Excited for the PBO tomorrow, Amy. And thanks for always doing those. It's such a great way to bring guests to learn more. So have a wonderful night, everybody. Thanks so much for everybody Kathleen, Karen, Elizabeth, Christy, thanks for your input and your sharing your expertise. We'll talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye.